Okay, thank you very much. Still, I have to start my words by presenting compliments to those two able young gentlemen from Poland who doesn't listen to me now. I am taking my hat off you for the good work in organizing this conference. And there are many reasons for that. This is my first visit to this institute, and it's a real big bonus to have conference at this place, which is one of the most exceptional and extraordinary research center in the whole Europe, with so many scholars, both European and international, and timing excellent. What better time to discuss European topics than 3 days after the European elections? I don't know whether you counted when you were planning this, but it turned out like that, and I think it's very good. Don't take me seriously now, but I was listening very attentively to your introductory remarks when you were characterizing the countries, and then I found out that Slovakia was not there. You know, you can praise someone, you can criticize someone, he will be happy, but if you ignore him, that's the worst punishment.
I relied on you to talk about it.
No, please. Slovakia, well, I'm speaking to you as the freshly re-elected member of the European Parliament, and all those topics which we were discussing in these 2 days were running in my head since Sunday after the election results were announced, because these elections have brought some significant changes which will mark the European political landscape definitely, and the questions are whether these are not permanent phenomena and they will be washed out during the next elections, or what will be the impact on the future development of the European Union. Also, we are absolutely shocked in Slovakia by the 13% turnout in the elections. That's what we call a deepening Slovak paradox, because it was there for last 10 years, and this time went even deeper. During the first election, the participation was 17%, in 2009, 19%, and then we are back to 13%. And nobody can find the rational or logical explanation for that, because during all the opinion polls about the credibility of the institution, be it national or European institutions always get higher mark than the national institutions. So, but people simply don't go and vote. We were jokingly explaining to our colleagues in Brussels that our people think that everything in the European Union is running smoothly, everything is fine, so they don't think it's necessary to go and vote to change anything. But it's a joking explanation, but we try to find out something, but maybe you being so fantastic scholars help us, because so far nobody has the answer. Of course, the politicians are responsible for that. That's the fate of politicians. I don't speak against it, but we did all we could. There was a lot of information. There was a very good election campaign, a lot of information in the media, yet the turnout was like that, and I repeat, it was not a protest vote, it was simply an apathy, or maybe Slovaks were always living under some other domination, so they are not so active, but it is a shock, and I think it was a shock for everybody, and everybody is trying to do something to change the election law, or to do something not to repeat this kind of phenomenon in the future. I would like to mention something which we were not discussing. We were speaking about the 10 years of enlargement. And one phrase was repeated many times, and José Manuel Barroso was the first one who mentioned it, saying that the enlargement was one of the most successful policies of the European Union. Now I was imagining the same conference 10 years from now. Maybe there'll be another 2 able young Poles. Let's leave it for them. Let's leave it to be a Polish speciality. And they will organize a conference called 20 years after the Big Bang enlargement of the European Union. Will that phrase be repeated there at the conference 10 years after? I am a realistic optimist, and I think that the answer would be positive. Let me speak a little bit about the Balkans. Western Balkans is the reservoir of the future members of the European Union, future, inshallah, members. I think that countries there have concerns about 2 issues which could, according to them, slow down or freeze the future enlargement process. The first is Ukraine, which is a very big burning issue which European Union has to address and to resolve. And the second one, the composition of the new European Parliament, where representatives of Europhobic, as somebody of you called them yesterday, parties will be there. I don't think that the process will be frozen, but I think that it's realistic to think that it will slow down the enlargement process with all the countries, but not by much, because there are some instruments, some processes, some meetings which are running, whatever. So I think that the future accession negotiations, be it Montenegro or Serbia or Albania, hopefully, if it gets the candidate country status, and then the date for starting the accession negotiation, because they have lost too much time because of the quarrels of the political elite in Albania and their country, and people are suffering because of that. We always tell them to behave responsibly, but it's bringing the result, but in a very, very slow way. I appreciated yesterday, I don't know who, maybe Milada mentioned the new Serbian leadership which came into power after the last elections, because there were a lot of concerns in Brussels and everywhere, because Ivica Dačić was the spokesman of Milosevic, and President Nikolic was the deputy prime minister in the government during Milosevic's time. But we were pleasantly surprised because they are delivering what they said, and so far they are really doing well. We hope that it's going to continue like that. And we also hope, when I say we, I speak the European Parliament. I was head of the EP delegation for those countries. And we put a lot of hope that the final solution of the Kosovo issue is closely connected with the normalization of relations between Belgrade and Pristina, and the implementation of the reached agreement is important and will continue. You mentioned that Cichocki is a candidate to succeed Baroness Ashton. In that sense, it will be very important who is new Baroness Ashton, because this dialogue was her personal achievement. I'm sure she will be criticized for many things, but nobody can deny that the complete change in the relations between Serbia and Kosovo was her achievement, because she started it, she put all her weight behind it, and made the relationship between Taci and Dacic really working. So it will be very important to see the new person and his impact on the future dialogue. Yesterday also there was some discussion whether Kosovo or Bosnia and Herzegovina are the most difficult issues in the Balkans. I think both are, but for completely different reasons. And to tell you that we are completely frustrated about Bosnia and Herzegovina because we don't know how to help them. We have done, I would say, everything. We don't have any sticks, and they tell us to be more tough with them, but so far nothing worked. So maybe it will be necessary to start with some completely different approach. So it is possible for pessimists and optimists to find facts or arguments for being pessimistic or optimistic because the enlargement process is going on, and you have the proof for that. And of course, on the other side, it is not going as fast as we would like to see it. And I think that it will be necessary both for the countries in the region and for the European Union as well to be more active. European Union sometimes is really very slow, very bureaucratic, and in the possibility of losing kind of credibility with the countries in the region, because let's take Macedonia. You know, you read the progress report every year with the same wording. The country is fulfilling or still fulfilling Copenhagen criteria, and we shall return to this issue 6 months later. So that's not fair. That's not fair. And I share the frustration of the state leadership of Macedonia to keep the flame of European integration burning. Okay, I will finish with the Balkans, but I wanted to say or reflect a little bit. Most probably there will be no new member states in 10 years from now. Maybe yes, maybe no. Croatia, which is the last acceding state, it took 8 years for them to become member since they started the negotiation on the 2005. They got the date together with Turkey, by the way. I was at that meeting of the council when they got it. So the brave statements of Serbian leaders that they will make it in 4 years or 5 years, I'm always telling them, don't say that, you know. It's very dangerous for the politician to promise something and then to find out that you couldn't fulfill your promise, and it's impossible to go through the accession negotiation in 4 or 5 years because we say that criteria are the same. They are not. It's more and more difficult with each next round of the negotiations. Let's face the reality. And it's not the most important issue whether you will go through the negotiation in 4 years or 5 years or 7 or 8 years. The most important thing is to be ready for the membership, and the European Union to be ready to accept the new members. So when somebody says that there will be a pause in the enlargement process, yes, in 5 years, maybe definitely nobody will, during the term of the next European Parliament and Commission, nobody will accede to the Union, but it is for the objective reasons. It doesn't mean that the process stopped. Although in conferences like this, I also heard many times that the enlargement is over. I don't think enlargement can be over. We are saying that we want Europe one and whole, and it cannot be like that without including such an important region like the Western Balkans. And concerning 2 sentences only to prove that I'm also speaking to the point about the core and periphery, I also want to say that we Slovaks feel very much in the core of the European Union. definitely, even with this deepening Slovak paradox. And I would suggest that those countries which have apprehensions about the project of the European Union and where the Europhobic parties were the strongest parties in the European election, those countries should be called periphery of Europe. Thank you.